Well, it's finally here. I've been waiting for a couple of 3 weeks now to pick up this system. This is a IBM RS 6000 model F50. This is the faceplate to it. Kind of reminds me of the old IBM PS2 systems. And well, basically the configuration I got was no hard disks, 512 megs of RAM, which is up under here, and a single 166 megahertz processor card. Just the one. I actually already have my eye on some dual cards on eBay. It can take up to 2, and then there can be up to 2 processors per card, so that makes this a 4-way system. Well, capable of being a 4-way system. And it's capable of taking 2 of these RAM boards, which have 16 slots of RAM on them each. The second RAM board slot is right there. This system was built September 12th of 1997. Or, well, the chassis was made then. I would say the system was built around the same time, of course, probably within the 3 to 6 months. Looking over here, we have 1, 2, we have 2 120 millimeter fans and 2 70 or 80 millimeter fans. This is a disc controller right here. This is the only disc controller cable that goes to the back plane, so this must be something similar to fiber channel SCSI. But it does take 68 pin hard drives. I do not have the caddies for them. As you can see, that's the opposite of what the SCA connector would be. SCA connectors on the back plane would be a female end of that. And these SD, SA or something like that drives actually have their own little terminator. You can see this one's dated 10/5 of 1995. You can see that this system has some corrosion on it. It's been sitting in a very humid area. Maybe outside, maybe in a garage. Not completely sure on that. Here's a look at the front of the system. We have our power, reset, floppy, DAT2 tape. We have a LCD and some indicator LEDs here. The LCD gives you basically what checkpoint it's at on booting and would display any error codes if the system boot was to fail for any reason. Looking on the back, the power supply would go in the bottom hole. SCSI, 10100 Ethernet, AUI, blank, PS2 keyboard and mouse, parallel, and 3 serial. Going up to the card bays, you can see our disk interface with 4 ports. And then the rest of them are blank up until you get to the top. This is a 128 port asynchronous serial card. Basically this goes into a breakout box, and then all of that goes to dumb terminals, serial consoles, whatever. So when I got this system, it was pretty dirty inside, and I went ahead and dusted it out, and it's actually still got a light film of dust on a couple of things, and that's with significant air pressure from the air compressor, so whatever was in here was definitely sticking around for a while. And so I dusted the whole thing out, and I noticed that there was still some dust in the power supply, even though I made quite a bit of effort trying to get everything out. You can see we still got fuzz growing down here in this end, and there's still a significant amount of dust all over everything, so that's why the power supply is out of it. I was looking on eBay at how much some of these parts went for, and I noticed that people snatch up these power supplies really fast. I kind of wondered if it was because they were so full of dust. Another reason why I figured it would be a lot easier to take the cover off and dust this power supply, well, besides the size of it, is because of these 120 millimeter fans. Now, I pointed out all of the case fans in the system here. And this fan's also 120 millimeter. And what's really interesting is with this system on, it is so quiet. It's actually much quieter than that. And it's even quieter than my desktop fan that I have sitting over there blowing around. Like, just incredibly quiet system. And so the air doesn't move through here at a very high volume, very high CFM. And so I figured dust collects in a lot more interesting places than what it would on a more turbulent cooling setup. So I figured pop it apart, get it good and squeaky clean, keep those components cool. Looks like the disk controller has 8 megs of its own 72-pin SIB memory. And looks like we have a Dallas real-time clock. That looks like some more memory there. And then we have a PLX devices chip there, and an X-Links chip there. And then our cable that plugs into the disk backplane. I only have the top backplane. I am missing the 2 lower backplanes, but that's okay, because the top backplane still allows you 6 drives, which is probably more than I'll ever need. Here's a look inside the lower board of the power supply. That's probably the biggest choke I've ever seen. There's my thumb for scale. Now there's actually, whatever kind of dust was on here, I ended up having to wipe the bottom of this board off. You can kind of see over here where I haven't wiped yet. So it's that bad. And make sure if you're wiping the bottom of a circuit board that you've discharged all the capacitors on the board ahead of time. I've already done so here. You can just do that by taking a screwdriver and shorting across these electrolytic cans. Right here. You can see the discoloration on the board right here from the heat. Looks like we have one more heat related discoloration here. And you flip this over, you can see that there's a resistor here and some resistors over here. Although it looked like only one was getting hot. Yep, this one was getting hot. This one may have gotten a little hot, but not as hot as these two. That's the rest of the board. I think I may actually take the other board out and wipe it down as well. Dust can become capacitive over time if enough of it collects, and that will kill a power supply. Okay, we've plugged it back in. Obviously our power supply is back together. Green light indicates standby power. We have OK here on the front panel. I guess I'll unplug it and then plug it back in so you can see what the front panel does. Unplugged. Okay. Now we're going to plug in. And that's what it does to come up to OK. I guess I'll go ahead and hit the power button. Let me make sure that everything is seated like it should be. Okay. And we're on. We have an orange light down here to indicate that the main power is on for the system. And our fans are up and running. But you can't hear anything. Okay, it's a few days later. I have a few parts, but first this is what the tower looks like when it's actually all put together. Kind of jumped into it a little bit the last time. That's the front as I received it. I did give it a wipe down and a good cleaning. So anyway, got a few things in the mail. The hard drive I had, the brackets I did not. I got 3 of these since I have 6 slots and 3 of them are filled with Terminators. It just made sense to get 3 of those and not waste too much extra money right now. Also got this. This graphics card originally had a $9,000 list price in 1997. This is a graphics card specifically designed for the F50. There's the back. We actually have a heatsink in there. We have a Altera Flex chip in there and a few other things, but these are actually memory slots. You can see the slot behind the cage there, and then there's the tab at the end to pop it out. So there's a few bits of RAM in there. I also picked up a female to female no modem cable today at the computer recycling place. They needed me to remove the password from a Sunblade 6000, so I did that and started rummaging through stuff. I'll be going back there tomorrow. And I have the libretto out because we're going to need to use this cable to hook into the serial console. I'm not sure at this point if we have to redirect the console to the graphics card or if it's just going to find it and everything is going to come up happily. So that will definitely give us feedback. Here's how to remove the faceplate on one of these. Turn the key so it's unlocked. Pop up this tab. And then you pull on the top part of the faceplate. You can also lift this door out. I think we'll do that as precaution. And once you give it a tug, the top should pop out. And then this faceplate's broken, but it's supposed to swing down like this, and then you can unhook the bottom and swing it out. So if you have one of these, make sure you follow that procedure instead of watching the bottom swing out. I have one tab. Somebody was kind and taped it in there. Well, actually it was taped to the wrong side, but you get the idea. Okay, so to break into your nuclear reactor, you're going to need to pop this tab up here and this one down here. It helps to have a flat blade screwdriver and makes things a little easier. And you swing it open, and then you are greeted with the reactor core shield itself, which you will need to remove with your special reactor core shield removal tool, and by undoing these reactor core shield hold down screws. Only a few turns though, or you will leak stray alpha particles out and burn your hand. Okay, after undoing the screw, the rest of these should pop out. Make sure you're wearing your radiation suit. Okay. All joking aside, after removing this panel, the system's several pounds lighter, but there is a nice diagram there for you. And that's how we got to where we were the other night. Okay, so after much problems with the flat blade screwdriver and sticking a flat-headed screw into that space because I'm too lazy to go to the garage and get the nut driver, it's finally in there. What a monster that is. As you can see, we occupy a total of, well, that's 4 PCI slots if you count the one that it's already using. Well, it's closer to 5. I will say 4. And I guess if you have short cards, it still works okay there anyway. So now it's time to shove in the hard disk. I don't have terminators or enough hard drives to fill the other slots, so it'll be interesting to see if the system complains. I didn't put the plastic thing on the side of this hard disk because I wasn't sure how well it was even going to fit or match up airflow wise. Make sure this is... So apparently I did not interpret anything correctly. This is obviously the correct caddy for this machine, because if I slide it into one of the other drive slots, it would slide in and lock if I could aim correctly. There. There. So it's correct for the chassis, but obviously have a different disc backplane. So we're going to go ahead and use the libretto and hook up a serial console. And on this machine, port 1 is the one you want to go after, which is the left side here, bottom left. And give that a good screwing so it doesn't come loose. Okay. So I have the keyboard, mouse, and monitor, and then we'll see what happens. Alright, so we're all hooked up. So we want to open our session. Should be 9600 8N1. We'll leave that where it is for now and change it if anything needs to be changed. Okay. So now we're going to plug in system power. We don't have anything on here yet. What do we have over here? Okay. Oh, here we go. I guess I just had to hit enter. This is cool. Service processor firmware. Copyright 1997. System power control menu, system information menu. Read post errors. Oh, of course it's in IBM jargon, so I'd actually have to have the damn book in front of me. Maybe I should have typed 98. Oh well. Set system name, system power control. Unintended start mode, reboot, restart, power on, power off. That's cool. You can do a lot of stuff from there. Alright, well, now, do we get anything on the monitor when we hit the button? Get an interesting flashing pattern here. Watch out! Okay, progress. It says press Q to select this console as the active console. And this had a press the space bar twice icon, but I think it got mad because I pressed a button. No! Fine. I shall reset you then.
Hey, Michael.
What's up?
Question. My camera,
Yeah.
so it keeps freezing after the 3rd frame, and it's taken a really long time to save the picture. Whether we change any of the settings or replace the batteries or whatever.
Did you try a different memory card?
Yeah, I even removed the memory card, it does the same thing.
With the internal memory?
Yeah. If it's out of warranty, could I ask you to look at it?
Yeah, I can take a look at it. I don't know if there's much I'm going to be able to do about it though.
Well, I hope it's within warranty, and I hope we can fix it. So if not, I'm going to be really pissed.
You have the same digital camera as I do, don't you?
Yeah, it's just a little more.
What is this thing doing? If it's stuck in the 300s, there's something wrong with the RAM. So I'll pull the RAM board and reseat it. Oh, other stuff's happening. Yep. Heard the floppy. Saw the keyboard lights.
Okay, here, check it out. So we'll take a picture.
After some creatively timed button pushing, I was able to finally get the system to come up from the graphics card. You can see our 512 megs of RAM, our single 166 megahertz PowerPC 604E. You can see the 3 serial ports, parallel port, the disk drive, and the fact that absolutely nothing else is installed in the system, thanks to this not fitting. Oh well. It only doesn't fit because I don't understand this. Apparently there's 2 different drives that you can, types of drives that you can put in here, and the only disk slots available were the wrong ones. So I'll just take that hard drive and slide it up in here for now and shove a CD-ROM drive in there and go from there.